waiting long enough, I do want to address a couple things. One is that as I am standing here with the head of the Jefferson County Health Department, as well as delegation representing Congresswoman Terry Sewell's office, as well as Senator Doug Jones' office, and along with the mayor's office and Mr. Charlie Powell of Panic, we've had some conversations today with Stephen Cook, who is the Deputy Assistant Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Our conversation has been centered around three things: remediation, relocation, as well as redevelopment of this area. When you think about this area that fits part of the North Birmingham community, there are 1,000+ people who've been affected by some of the contaminated soil here. I do want to acknowledge some of the work that EPA has done as of to date of December 13th. In the 7+ years they've been on this site, they've tested and sampled about 1,950 residential properties, or that's right at about 98% of residential properties within the site. They have about 50 more to test. Included in that, they've remediated 473 residential properties. In addition to that, they spent direct costs of approximately $27 million on cleanup activities for this site. Now, listed are 185 residential properties that remain to be addressed. And I think for us, that is of concern. We want to make sure with the 2 to +3 years remaining on this site as it relates to a Superfund and allocating resources, that those 185 residential sites be addressed. My conversation with the administrator, along with the people you see standing here, was really on the human element of this. This is not about statistics or numbers. This is about people. The people here, they have a reason to not really trust what's been happening. Part of that is we all know political corruption took place here, and people have been found guilty since. In addition to that, though, I explained the other human element of this. Mr. Powell, you could have came up. Take that sign off. Come on up. The other human element of this is when site cleanup first started 6-7 years ago, I imagine there was constant and over communication. What I've stressed to the EPA Deputy Director, Mr. Cook, this morning in front of folks you see standing here is we can never over communicate enough what's happening on this site to address remediation of this site if people want to continue to live here. In addition to that, for those who don't want to live here anymore, there's going to have to be some continued conversation. Because a part of the conversation we had today, is there a pot of money that exists from the federal government for those 3 R's I named: remediation, redevelopment, and relocation? And if we can't get it from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, then where can we, through partnership with other federal departments, receive some resources for the folk who need assistance here? I have one last note, and I'll let any of these good folk, including Mr. Powell and Dr. Wilson, if they want to speak, say something. A part of what we want to announce today is a working group that will include all of the stakeholders involved. That's the housing authority, that's property owners, that's school official residents, and of course, as I mentioned, Dr. Wilson with the health department, and those from representing us in the federal government, which include Congresswoman Terry Sewell's office and Senator Doug Jones' office. But we want to make sure, as I think about Mr. Powell and the efforts he's put in with his organization Panic and many other organizations, they will have a seat at the table for advocacy groups who've been active in the discussion for many years. Our goal is to reimagine North Birmingham, and within that goal is to make sure for those who do stay here to make it vibrant and healthy for those to live here. With that, I want to turn it over to anyone else that would like to say something, and maybe we'll take a couple questions.
Good afternoon. I'm founder and president of Panic, and our goal was everybody that wanted to be relocated, relocate them, and for the ones that want to stay, like the mayor was saying, compensate them for being here. Nothing changed, and it's still the same. We just gonna get together and work as a people and a whole to try to pull this thing together. If we work together on this here, I think everybody could come out happy out this whole situation. Some want to leave and some want to go. So what we're doing here now is try to demonstrate how working together will work. And I thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. Dr. Woodfin, you want to say anything, sir?
Yes, just briefly. I'm mainly here just to say that our health department, the Jefferson County Department of Health, is a willing partner with the city and with any others who are interested in helping make our communities more livable, more vibrant. My personal view is that we have issues with a legacy of zoning where you have heavy industrial sites that happen to be located right next to residential areas. There was a time when that was considered a good thing, where people could live here and work very close by. But we're in a new era now, and we need to work together to rethink this and at least try to help create some buffers between heavy industrial sites and where people live. And our health department is willing to put skin in that game. Thank you.
Anyone from Congresswoman Terry Sewell, Senator Jones' office want to say anything? More than welcome. I think if not, any questions from you guys and ladies?
So, Mayor, how will establishing this working group be different than what is already being done here?
I think, so what's being done here is remediation. Deputy Director Cook made some interesting points, but over and over he kept coming back to a plan. I've been in office 2 years now, and what we wanted to do is make sure the EPA is doing what it said it was going to do around remediation. But for those who want to stay and for those who don't want to stay, I think what we need is a working group around locally, what are we charged to do? What is our vision for the area? What is the input from the community? If there are no resources at the federal level, what can we do locally in partnership with existing organizations? So as I think about K-8 Hudson School that is in the middle of this site, as I think about the public housing that is in the middle of this site, when you have HABD at the table, you have the school system at the table, leadership at the table, along with the Congresswoman's office and the Senator Jones' office, with the health department, the city of Birmingham, locally, what can we do in partnership with the residents that want to remain here outside of receiving federal assistance for remediation to move the top and under soil that's on their land? So it's taking a deeper dive and not just vision casting, but being able to execute on the plan moving forward for the residents of this area. And to be honest, that's probably locally our job.
So when will this working group be working?
I think what you'll see in the first quarter of the year, we'll start convening folk. I think a lot of the groups I just named, we've been in a room before together, which included state representatives. But 100% of that conversation was centered around what we wanted from the EPA, what we wanted from the federal government, and addressing this site with federal resources. The working group you hear me talk about is really around locally, what can we do moving forward?
You mentioned redeveloping as one of your 3 R's for this area. You also said that it's still 2 to 3 years left in the Superfund Site process. Can that redevelopment conversation take place before that's done? And if so, how does that work?
I think that is a long conversation. I think in the immediate, with what the EPA has designated for the site, their resources are centered around remediation only. The conversation I had today was the first time that we were able actually to talk about, this is a great question, to the EPA. Are there any resources available for redevelopment? Are there any additional resources for relocation? There were 2 different answers. On the actual relocation, as shared with us, this site does not qualify for contaminants that impose such a danger where people need to be immediately relocated. And so there are no resources from the EPA to address the relocation. On the redevelopment, there is a pot of money that exists about $60 million for next year, which is not a lot of money when you think about probably over 120 sites across America will apply for this money. Within that $60 million, the highest recipient would probably only be about $650,000. So again, as you think about 7-4 remediation, where there's been $20+ million put into that on the redevelopment and or relocation side, that is going to take some local effort and our creativity to figure out how to address and support the residents here.
It's got a tour coming up. Anybody else have any other questions? Are we good? Thanks, folks.
Thank you,
Appreciate
everybody.
you.